It usually begins with a small, simple question. Did I say the right thing? Or maybe, what if I had chosen differently? That question then grows arms, legs. It becomes a spiderweb of what ifs and maybes that stretch far beyond the original thought. Hours later, the INTP is still sitting there, not even sure what triggered the spiral. Overthinking is not just a habit for INTPs. It is a part of their everyday life. Like breathing, only heavier, their minds are built to explore. They ask questions, examine possibilities, and play out ideas like chess moves in a game no one else knows they are playing. Some people call them indecisive. Others say they live in their heads too much. But it is not about being unsure. It is about being too sure of too many possible outcomes. Their brain is wired to scan every option, find every crack, chase every possibility. A 2022 article on Verywell Mind talked about analysis paralysis in overthinkers, saying it often leads to stress, sleep problems, and decision fatigue. For INTPs, it can go even deeper. Because their thoughts are so layered, even small choices, like replying to a text, can feel like solving a riddle with no answer. In this episode, we step into the quiet storm of overthinking. What does it feel like to live inside an INTP mind that never shuts off? How does this constant thinking shape their emotions, their actions, and their peace? Let us begin where the noise is silent but always running. For the INTP, thinking is not just something they do, it is who they are. Their world is made of ideas, questions, and endless loops of logic. But that gift of deep thinking often comes with a hidden cost, the mind that will not stop. It does not take much to set it off. A strange look from someone, a confusing text, a decision that feels just a bit too rushed. The INTP's mind grabs it like a puzzle piece and starts building an entire picture around it. Even when that picture is based on guesses and not facts, they cannot let it go. Many INTPs say they have trouble falling asleep at night, not because they are not tired, but because their mind keeps spinning. A 2021 survey from Sleep Foundation found that overthinking is one of the top causes of insomnia in introverted personalities. They lie in bed replaying a conversation from 3 days ago or worrying about a choice they made 5 years back. But overthinking is not always just about worry. Sometimes it is about searching for the perfect answer. INTPs feel uncomfortable with half-formed ideas. They want to be right, fair, logical, and clear. And until they feel fully satisfied with their thoughts, they hesitate to act. In the real world, that delay can be seen as fear or laziness, but it is really a deep need for inner clarity. The mind keeps asking, is this really the best choice? And does not stop until it feels sure. The problem is, it almost never feels sure, so the thoughts continue, looping, stretching, multiplying, each one pulling them further away from action, from rest, and sometimes from peace. Inside the mind of an INTP, one thought never stays alone. A simple idea, like deciding what to say in an email, can quickly turn into a chain of questions. Will they misunderstand me? What will this choice lead to? What if I wait too long? Each question unlocks another. Like stepping into a hallway of mirrors, every reflection shows a new version of the same problem. That is how overthinking starts. An INTP uses introverted thinking as their main way of understanding the world. It works like an inner compass, sorting ideas and checking for flaws. But this process takes time. It is slow, deep, and always looking for the most correct answer, not just a fast one. Now add extroverted intuition, their second strongest mental process, and it becomes even more complicated. That part of them starts imagining every possible outcome, even ones that are unlikely. So while they are thinking logically on one side, they are also imagining 5 different futures on the other. It is like watching 5 different movies at the same time and trying to write the ending for each one. Psychologists call this rumination, when thoughts go in circles and never settle. According to research from the University of Michigan, people who ruminate often experience higher anxiety, lower confidence, and more difficulty making simple choices. For the INTP, this rumination is not always painful, but it is exhausting. They may second guess their own feelings. They may hesitate to act even when they know what they want. And they often do not trust quick decisions, because their mind whispers, "What if you missed something?" Even happy events can trigger this loop. A compliment might lead to wondering if the person really meant it. A new opportunity might turn into a long list of what could go wrongs. Their thoughts are not chaotic, they are organized, but too many. And when you live in a mind that never stops checking, weighing, and imagining, even rest becomes hard work. A college student stares at a blank screen. The assignment is not even hard, but their mind will not let them start. What's the best way to begin, they wonder. Should I go with idea A or idea B? If I choose the wrong one, will my grade drop? What if I run out of time? What if the professor thinks I missed the point? 2 hours pass. The screen is still blank. They go to bed that night without writing a single sentence, but their brain, still racing. This is how overthinking shows up, not in big dramatic ways, but in the small, everyday moments that quietly drain energy. An INTP in a job interview may struggle to answer a simple question, not because they do not know the answer, but because they want to explain it perfectly. Their brain is going through 4 different ways to reply, imagining the possible reactions to each one. By the time they speak, it feels rushed, or too late, or off topic. Later, they replay the moment 100 times in their mind. Why did I say it like that? Did I sound unsure? What if I ruined my chances? In relationships, it can be even more personal. An INTP might get a short text from someone they care about, something simple like, "Okay." But that one word starts a storm. Are they upset? Did I say something wrong? Should I ask? Or will that annoy them more? Maybe I'll just wait. They reread their last message. Then they check the time the other person replied. They compare it to yesterday. Maybe the reply came quicker then. Maybe this is a sign. But none of this is confirmed. It is all happening inside their head. And still, it feels real. Overthinking can even get in the way of fun. A group of friends invites the INTP on a weekend trip. Instead of saying yes or no, they begin to overanalyze. What will the weather be like? What if I get bored? What if they expect me to talk the whole time? What if I say yes now but regret it later? They stall. They wait. The friends need a reply, but the INTP is still deep in their thought. Eventually, the group makes plans without them. The INTP feels left out, but also relieved. Online discussions from INTP forums show this same pattern across hundreds of posts. One person shared how it took them 3 days to choose a phone plan. Another talked about avoiding dating completely because their mind made every possible outcome seem like a risk. Even shopping can turn into a thought maze, a hoodie or a jacket. The hoodie is cheaper, but the jacket lasts longer. But the hoodie has better color. But what if it shrinks? What if I see something better tomorrow? They walk out of the store with nothing and still think about it on the way home. To outsiders, these situations seem small, but to the INTP, they are full of invisible pressure. The pressure to choose right, to avoid regret, to be logical. But logic, when turned inward too often, becomes a trap. And for the INTP, that trap looks like a quiet room, a racing mind, and hours lost to thoughts that never quite land. On the outside, overthinking might look like laziness or delay. But inside the INTP, it comes from something deeper, the fear of being wrong and the fear of missing something important. They want to get things right. Not just good enough, but truly right. That perfectionist voice inside them says, if you make the wrong choice, you'll regret it. So they wait, they think more, they dig deeper, but while they search for the perfect answer, life keeps moving. This creates misunderstandings. At school, teachers might think the INTP is distracted or not paying attention. At work, coworkers may see them as slow to act. In relationships, people might say, why can't you just decide already? But the truth is, their mind is working overtime. They are not being careless. They are being careful, so careful that even a small decision can feel like walking a tightrope. A 2023 study from the Journal of Behavioral Psychology explained that people who think deeply often struggle with decision making when there are too many options. The more they care, the harder it gets. For INTPs, who often care more than they admit, this becomes a silent struggle. And the consequences: missed chances, lost time, regret over things not done, not because they were not wanted, but because the INTP got stuck thinking too long. Sometimes they even blame themselves afterward. Why didn't I just go? Why do I always overthink everything? This creates a cycle where the overthinking leads to regret, and regret leads to more overthinking. It is not just a habit. It is an invisible loop that quietly shapes their daily life, one careful thought at a time. Overthinking feels like safety to an INTP. It is their way of protecting themselves from bad choices, embarrassment, or misunderstandings. But too much thinking can slowly steal away joy, action, and peace. So how can they find balance? The first step is learning to trust good enough. Not every decision needs to be perfect. Some just need to be made. A 2022 guide from Psychology Today suggested a powerful tip: set a time limit. For example, I will think about this for 10 minutes and then I'll choose. That small rule can break the loop before it grows too large. Another helpful trick is naming the real fear. INTPs often overthink because they are afraid of something hidden, maybe being judged, maybe making the wrong choice, or maybe losing control. Writing it down can help. Just one sentence. I'm scared of choosing the wrong path because seeing the fear clearly often makes it less powerful. It also helps to limit the number of options. When faced with too many choices, the INTP brain goes into overdrive. Picking just 3 options to consider, no more, can make the process feel lighter. This trick is used by people in business and design work to stop mental overload. Friends and loved ones can support INTPs by giving them space to think, but also gentle reminders to act. Take your time, but don't stay stuck can be more helpful than hurry up. And for the INTP, small actions build confidence. Even choosing quickly on small things, like what to eat or which movie to watch, can train the brain to feel safer with faster decisions. Overthinking will never fully disappear. It is part of who they are. But with a few changes, it can go from being a heavy storm to a light rain, something that waters their deep thoughts instead of drowning them. The INTP mind is like a quiet library filled with thoughts stacked high. Each shelf holds questions. Each corner hides ideas waiting to be explored. But sometimes that library becomes too full. Thoughts spill over. Decisions get delayed, and peace feels far away. Overthinking is not a flaw. It comes from the INTP's deep need to understand, to be fair, to avoid harm. But in trying so hard to choose the right path, they sometimes forget to walk the path at all. Even the smallest step can be powerful. Not every choice needs to be the best. Some just need to be made. And sometimes trusting themselves without knowing everything can be the bravest thing an INTP does. For those who love an INTP, patience is a gift. Let them think, let them ask, but remind them gently they do not have to carry the whole world in their head, because inside every INTP is a quiet dreamer who wants to move forward but just needs a little more time to feel ready. In the next episode, we will explore something deeper, something many never see, the silent way INTPs struggle to express love. What happens when a heart full of feeling cannot find the right words? And how do they show care when their way of loving looks so different from others? Until then, give your mind some rest. The world does not always need answers. Sometimes it just needs your presence.